We will probably burn that one in the fire. That one belongs. Never anybody should ever watch that game ever. So, Jimmy, how we doing?
I'm surprised that the first thing you said after bringing me up was the Broncos.
The color's
am
kind of on right now too.
It's the wrong co-host. Wrong co-host.
It's the orange and blue, man.
Well, I don't know. It's the black. It's the orange. I'm awesome. My team can win without their star quarterback, and what Jordan and I feared is not the case. It was that one weird week where they had to figure out, like, okay, Jake, what can you actually do here? And they figured it out after playing horrendous against the Steelers, which still that sucks that we lost against the Steelers. But hey, last 2 weeks, Jake Browning, that's my guy. That's my guy for the foreseeable future, and that's the team's guy. And even though people are going to sit there and say quarterback controversy ? I sit here and say, hell no. You know how many of those throws would have been touchdowns if it was Joe Burrow throwing them instead of Jake Browning? Like Jamar Chase in the first half opened on a post and thrown behind him, so he can't use his speed and his field vision to get any more yards. He just goes down. I'm like, that's a 60-yard play with Joe Burrow. So as good as Jake Browning is, and I love you for stepping in like you have, this is Joe Burrow's team when he comes back. It is not a quarterback controversy. I don't want to hear any of that going forward.
Before we get too far ahead here, gentlemen, we do have I did put it on the front page here of the episode this week, so I do want to give everybody an update here. It was a big game on the calendar, and we are live during it right now. Is this right? 24-6 I'm seeing right now. Cowboys over the Eagles as we're entering halftime, gentlemen. Prescott, I mean, we've kind of always joked a little bit about the MVP thing, but I mean, you win a game like this and you win it running away. I don't know, guys. That might jump them to number one a little bit in some people's eyes.
It's something weird with the Eagles right now, but it is 24-6. At least I think I'm a little bit behind because they're not at halftime yet. There's something up with them, and they say all the right things, which is what makes me I think that they should be able to overcome it, because it's like they've identified the issue, but they can't figure out what's going to actually fix the issue going on. And as good as the Eagles are up front, the last few weeks, they've been absolutely killed on the ground. They can't stop the run. They haven't been able to get their running game going, and they're walking away with 3 points instead of 6. Those are 3 really big issues, like the trenches, not being able to score touchdowns, and not understanding how you're going to move forward with that. The Eagles have a lot more issues, and this is a game where I don't know. I'm going to continue to try and find ways to say that it's not the Cowboys' year, because I'm not going to be one of those dummies with the Super Bowl tattoo on my calf, however many Super Bowls they almost won since the last one. So I'm still leery on them.
And I think that's part of it, right? Is we're just not. They've never proven it to us, so we have all these failures. And
they're gonna call a quarterback sneak with less than 30 seconds left. It's just gonna happen.
I think maybe a more intriguing story out of this, Jordan, would be that the Eagles, if they get smoked by the Cowboys. I mean, that would, especially after getting cooked by the Niners too.
It's continuously turnovers. I mean, he had a fumble. He had a fumble on a drive that they should have scored 6 on. And then he threw a bad interception, not long after that. And they're just constantly going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. So I don't know if it's a spell or the timing, or, up front he's kind of getting more pressure. But it's just a lot of Hurts is not playing the football kind of that we got accustomed to seeing. He's always kind of had a turnover issue with, the design play call for the runs, but consistently not being able to push the ball downfield when you have 2 outstanding weapons, it's kind of debacling to me. But the defensive side, you look at the trades they made. Bird doesn't look comfortable. He kind of came out in their nickel package. Now he has to play full-time safety because their starter got hurt about a quarter ago. So you're seeing a lot of new faces. I know this year too. The linebacker from the Colts just making his debut. He doesn't look comfortable in the system yet. So I think they have a lot of moving pieces, through the kind of the mid-season trades that they pulled off and some of the acquisitions from last year. A lot of their secondary is brand new outside the starting corners. So I think you're just kind of seeing that puzzle try to fit all together. I think they'll figure it out, but, Dallas making kind of a smacking statement. I'm shocked at the score. I kind of thought Dallas would win this one, but I didn't think it was going to be borderline blowout. There's still a whole half left, but we'll see.
Tyler, David Carr is wondering where Mariota is. Yeah, David Carr made a little news this week. Yeah, the Cowboys, though, it's surprising. Like I said, but the Eagles standpoint, the offense, right? Like the night Bosa went out and said it. It was like, I guess it's not giving away anything because you can watch it on tape, but he was kind of like they're predictable at moments, the Eagles, because of the way their read offense, right? It's 1, 2, 3. That's the way he kind of put it out. So it's not necessarily an easy offense when they're cooking, but also if your defense can stay in their gaps, especially the defensive line, it does give the secondary a little bit more of a chance. I thought that was interesting when he said that. So I don't know.
Because we've been talking about this all the way back to that Thursday night game where they barely won against the Vikings, and we all had, is this issues for the Eagles? And I really do think they lost their 2 coordinators from last season, and it just has never come together and never gelled. You've had different people out with injuries at different times. And the new trades, the new guys that they bring in via off the street, I think they would be good players. But now you're in the crunch time of your season. They said it before the broadcast tonight. They could drop down to 5 if they lose this game from the number 1 seed. And you don't really have that time to marinate those guys that you just brought in, but that's going to be the way that it has to move. Leonard is not going to look the part of middle linebacker in this offense or defense for another couple weeks.
And don't you think maybe also too, in the NFL, other than other sports, you don't really want to be trending that far down. It's hard.
It was great because you were figuring out how to win terrible games, but now you're now we're losing, and not just losing these terrible games, not losing the games where we probably should have walked away with 1 or 2 more losses on our record. We're getting absolutely mollywopped by teams that people were comparing them to us. We were the comparison 2 weeks ago. And now it's totally flipped.
Prescott right now, 157 yards, 2 touchdowns. Hurts, 7 for 13, 92 yards in the air. Lamb, 5 receptions, 65 yards, and a touchdown so far. We'll keep you updated on that as we did hit halftime there, 24-6. Gentlemen, games of the day here. These teams are only allowed to play close games. Bills and Chiefs comes down to the wire. This time, the Bills. And the coach, I thought he died for a second. He was down. I thought they get this man some oxygen. Get McDermott some oxygen. Get him a wheelchair. Get him off the field.
I don't know if you guys know this. He was an All-American wrestler in high school.
I can see it. This short little strong.
I only say that every time because they say that every time that he's on the screen. I've heard that stat a billion times because the Bills have had all the Jim Nantz and Tony Romo games. As a wrestler in high school, McDermott has a lot of toughness.
Jim keeps that one in his back pocket all the time. That one's always in his back pocket when he needs that. But another close game, right? The Bills do pull it out. The defense is able to make enough of a stop with it. What do you guys make of that as the Bills, Chiefs? Let's start with you, Jordan, as I get our guy Nico on here from the other far end of the bench podcast here.
Surprise!
Well. He's back. Here we go.
Where's the Stone Cold music, Nico? I thought you were going to have that queued up.
I was listening and I saw Chiefs talk was coming up, so I just was ready to jump in right on the moment of a dime. So, but yeah,
Kadarius Toney does not have a job tomorrow. Tyler, what are you talking about?
No, I think you're finally seeing the free agency kind of catch up with the Chiefs. They've been playing close games all year, dating all the way back to the Jets, which I'm sure we'll touch on them later. But that really, the offensive tackles being new, it's finally shown its ugly head. Missing all their receiving weapons throughout the last couple of years. People said, "Oh, you can replace it." Last year, they kind of did some patchwork on it, but it's not the same offensive power, and you're seeing teams honestly not fear them. You look at
it's so enjoyable.
Denver,
it's so enjoyable.
Denver gets punched in the face. I mean, that's kind of been their tailspin since then, and back-to-back weeks with losses. You're finally seeing the sideline implode. The defensive players are yelling at the coaches. The coaches are yelling at the defensive player. Mahomes is slamming his helmet. Now he's singing it's completely
bitching at everybody he can find.
Oh, you need to just let him play, ref. Well, a couple of weeks ago he was singing the other way. Oh, you can't. You got to call that. You got to call that. So I think everything's
so far.
It's art.
And, so far offside. So far offside.
Just that
It's
little
not
blue
even
line.
no, but it doesn't matter. That's your job as a receiver. You look at the referee and you point at him, and he will tell you good or scoot back. You're too far. So
and they have that issue with the defensive end, right? 3 years ago or something like that.
Frank Clark.
Yeah, Frank. Yeah, that same thing with it. What did you? That would have been a magical play. Brittany,
Oh, it was
Brittany
awesome.
Mahomes
I was like, holy shit, he actually pulled it off. He's been talking about this on his podcast for the last 4 months. Holy shit. Taylor Swift's going to write a song about this. She still might write a song about this. She still might, because now there's that good tragic angle that she's able to go at it from. I'm gonna get smacked the next time I see my girlfriend.
They should have paid Tyreek Hill. I mean, it's shown its rear, it's shown its head, man.
Oh, big time. Nico, I'm assuming you're enjoying the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to sit back, let everyone get their 2 senses out, because obviously I have a lot of strong opinions about how the officiating, how Mahomes is acting, and everything going on. First off, there isn't a more entitled right now team than the Chiefs. They think that they run the league, and Mahomes and Kelsey think because Taylor Swift is sitting in the stands wearing red and yellow that they run everything and that they're the whole show. That's what they think they are, plain and simple. And to go on national TV and in a post-game press conference and say, oh, the ref's got to call that one back. I'm sorry. I tweeted this out from our account. If you think a referee should pick up the flag he threw before as the play was just beginning, right? Ball snapped, he throws a flag. You think a referee should go back and be like, you know what? That was a pretty sick fucking play. That was pretty sick. Pretty damn cool. I think I'll pull this flag up for them real quick because
shit.
That's pretty damn cool. I'd be like damn Steve Ballmer out here. Like, does he really want him to be like, you know what? Like, that's pretty damn cool. Let's pull the flag because the rules don't fucking matter once the Kansas City Chiefs. It's so funny. It's so funny, right? They've lost 3 of the last 4. Don't look now. The Denver Broncos are 1 game behind you, motherfuckers. Like, come on now. It's crazy. It's crazy that they want to act as these entitled little sassy little bitches, excuse my language, but that's what they are. That's what they are.
Mahomes was acting like that at the end of the game where you're coaching a team and you're like, okay, dude, relax. You don't have to I gotta calm down.
I get arguing a pass interference, arguing a holding call.
But I
can't fucking argue that. What are you gonna do? You're gonna argue a guy standing a whole foot?
But the neutral zone. The line of scrimmage is an imaginary line. That blue line on the TV is not there in real life. It's maybe that's what they're going to end up doing. Maybe they will put a line down. They'll have like a laser so that everybody knows where they are. And when Kadarius Toney inevitably lines up off sides, he's just going to get shocked. Just be like, out. Get back.
Middle school. You always check with the ref. You always put your hand up, say, hey, am I good? Am I good? And that they're paid to tell you yes or no.
F-side show, Bob, and all his crying, all the cheese. It was great there for a minute after that play, though. They go to the box and then he got
that was music to my ears.
It's the equivalent of a goal being called back because of like that offsides that's just this much. Or the Avalanche have one where the guy his skate touches the ice as the guy's butt is going into the bench, and they still call it too many men on the ice when we scored in a playoff game and end up losing to your Sharks, Daren. So I'm a little bit salty about that. It just happens, but you're a professional. You're paid millions of dollars to A, catch the football, which Kadarius Toney has already proven he's a little bit iffy at, and B, line up onside. I feel like that's a $500,000 mistake there.
You're losing at home to a under 500 football team. Let's not forget about that. Your schedule, look, they were the number 1 seed in the AFC West last year, so they had played a number 1 seeded schedule. But they play the Eagles at home. They play the Bills at home. They're playing all these good teams at home, and you're crying about that at that point of the game, a guy because you can't follow the damn rules that have been in place for 100+ years. Come on now, it's ridiculous.
They should get a little healthy versus the Patriots and Raiders the next week. So if you lose one of those, maybe the ship's really.
New Year's. I'm not going to be able to watch that New Year's Eve game because
the Raiders got that circled.
Can we get 3-0? Can we pull it out? Can we get the 3-0 win? The Bills, are they back a little bit? I feel like I don't know if they're back, but they had 2 impressive wins here. They joined the massive amount of teams that are 7-6. that are going into it. But the Chiefs, I think we all enjoy just a little bit for 1 week, a little sourness on their side there as they drop. I think they drop all the way to the 4 seed now based on that. So they drop all the way down there. So it's kind of
playoff tomorrow. They'd be on the road.
Yeah, like you said,
never happened before. It's never happened before.
Interesting. Mahomes has never not made the championship game, right? That's the thing. Right?
He's never not played a playoff game.
He's hosted every single playoff game that he's ever played in.
Crazy to think about. Just crazy still at this point of his career.
We want to anoint a guy the greatest quarterback of the generation, never having to win a playoff game on the road.
Okay. That is true. Yeah, we'll see it this year, hopefully. It will be fun to see if he can pull that out. All right, we'll keep it moving here. Game of the day here. I got next one. Ravens pull it out over the Rams. They win it off on a punt return in overtime. Not one you're expecting to be a game of the day, but it actually did turn out to be pretty entertaining. They were kind of going back and forth. The Rams ran the ball really well, which surprised me. The Ravens continue to be one of those teams that I'm just not sure about. Every week we talk about them. They're still not just making me cemented in there, but they pull out W's like this, right? Like they fight till the end, or they find a way even on special teams to get the W. The Rams, I thought, obviously that would have been a huge win for them to get over 500 there. So, any thoughts on that game there, Jimmy?
It's frustrating because as good as the Bengals win was today, this and the Browns made it a little bit less. I don't know if I have too much hope of getting back where we need to be in the division. There are ways to beat the Ravens. I think that they over the last few years, what they've shown is that they're one of the easier teams to scheme up in the playoffs. So you can let the Lamar and have all of his video game numbers during the regular season. Once he proves it in a playoff game, I'll have to sing a different tune. But he has not had a performance where he's not spin cycling Nick Vigil in the playoffs. That just doesn't happen. Teams tighten up against him. They know how to stop him, and they kind of just let him have whatever he wants during the beginning of the season. That's kind of what the MO has been for the Ravens. So that's where I still think they are. They're a better team. They're leading the division, but that was I don't think that they should have been that close with the Rams if they're the number one team in the AFC North.
That's fair. What do you think, Jordan?
I'm kind of worried about them. Their passing game, they did it through the air today. I believe Lamar elapsed 300 yards today. OBJ kind of looked like himself. The rookie wide receiver they had kind of went off. They look like a good tandem going into the playoffs. We all know they can run the ball, but to see Lamar drop back 47 times and complete a little bit more than 50% of them, that's kind of, as a Bengals fan and as kind of a football fan, that's kind of concerning if he figures out how to keep slinging the balls. So I think it's more of a signature win that they had to score 30-plus points, which, that's not their MO. Their MO's, grind it out, meat and potatoes. Whoever gets to past 20 usually wins against them. And that to see him win in a shootout, that's kind of eye-opening. I think that's a huge confidence boost for him going forward and kind of scary for the rest of the league. Your
thoughts, Nico, on the Ravens? I haven't heard your thoughts on them in a while. They're obviously the top team here.
They just figure out they find out ways to win. Like that's what they're doing. Is like when it comes down to the regular season, like you lose games in the National Football League at the end of the season because you're either mentally stronger or mentally weaker. And the Ravens right now are mentally stronger than everyone they're playing. They're finding new ways to figure out how to win, whether it be the punt return touchdown, game-winning field goals, because they have the best kicker of this generation, arguably the greatest kicker of all time. Like they have things figured out, but I think Jordan hit the nail on the head. Is like, what are the weapons going to be when it comes to playoffs? What weapons are going to be scared of? Because obviously the big answer would be Mark Andrews, and he won't be there. So can you trust Zay Flowers? Can you trust a banged up OBJ? He looks healthier now, but he's still banged up. Like, can you trust those guys offensively in a running game that's still hot and cold? Like, J.K. Dobbins still, like, you still can't trust the weapons outside, and that's going to be the biggest problem for this team but if they keep finding out ways to win when it gets to the playoffs, they'll just have that much more confidence. But when you look at the weapons they have across the board, it's just tough to compete against the other top teams in the AFC.
And they got Jaguars at Niners, Dolphins the next 3 games, and they finish with the Steelers. So they'll have 3 games there where they're right at it. So that'll be interesting how that Niners Ravens game, I believe, is on Christmas Day as well. So that'll be a good primetime matchup there on Christmas Day here in a few weeks. Kind of get a good one there right there. And then we'll have to spend a ton of time, but it was a good game at the end. Tampa Bay, we were watching it with my son. We were in the pizza parlor. He had that one going with me. I had the Rams here. He was updating me with it. An ugly win at 6-7. I said they take the lead in the NFC South. The Bucs pull it out. They haul it in with Baker Mayfield. I don't know what it is. He is showing me a little something this year.
He's got moxie. That's what they've said since he got drafted. He's got the moxie. He's got the Brett Favre swagger of whatever it is. He's going to make some team at some point very, very happy.
And you mentioned that on I feel like maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago. You said correct me if I'm wrong, but it wasn't like he hadn't got a shot, but you felt like he hadn't got a true shot with a team like every year in and out because of the injuries partially and because of they always had a backup kind of ready to go to take his spot too.
It's been kind of chaotic for him, but everywhere that he's gone, he's been at least able to be serviceable, which is it's saying something because now we've seen Russ struggled picking up 2 playbooks in the last 2 seasons. And that was what a lot of people thought was one of the smartest quarterbacks in the league. I think that it's a huge testament to Baker Mayfield that now he's been in Cleveland, won games for them, won their first playoff game in forever. He went to Los Angeles and won a game off of 5 days notice, which is what we were giving Josh Dobbs. I almost said J.K. Dobbins. Josh Dobbs so much credit for it, learning an offense in 4 days and getting a win. And this year with the Bucs, it hasn't been perfect. And granted, last time that the Bucs and Falcons, they should have had about this many points scored, but they had 4 or 5 turnovers apiece in the red zone. It's not perfect, but I mean, if you could put the right team around Baker Mayfield, I feel like you could win a lot of football games in the NFL. It's not like he's a lost toy that you have to try and put back together. He's the guy that can prove that if he learns your system and if he has the guys around him, if he doesn't get beat up throughout the season behind a bad offensive line, I feel like this guy in the perfect system, which is, I guess you could say that about a lot of people, but I don't know. Baker Mayfield's shown a little bit more than a lot of people.
So Nico, 6-7 Bucs, 6-7 Falcons, 6-7 Saints. Who's winning that terrible division?
I have to go with the Buccaneers because I think what Jimmy said was perfect. Was Baker Mayfield has the it factor that Desmond Ridder doesn't have. Fuck it, Derek Carr doesn't have
that for you.
Derek Carr doesn't have it, or Derek Carr / Jameis Winston doesn't have it, and Bryce Young or whoever the Carolina Panthers doesn't have it either. He has been the best quarterback in this division this season, and this is the division where he was the guy that just was the leftover because Brady left. That the Buccaneers thought, you know what, we're not going to be very good this year. Let's just have Baker run out there. We'll draft a quarterback, and then next year he'll mentor the young guy or whatever. Baker said, "Nah, I'm still here, dog. I can win you football games. Look, like I said, when you say winning football games, it's only 6 out of 13 games. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. It's not like winning meaningful football games, but you're winning games when you need to against teams that are also struggling. And that's one thing Baker has done is he has the balls to go out there and make the crazy plays and make the plays that he knows he can with his legs and with his arm that not the other quarterbacks in this division are scared of. Derek Carr's scared to take the top off Olave. Desmond Ridder can't throw a 5-yard out to Bijan Robinson in the red zone.
Oh, you saw that too in the end zone.
He has the opportunity to do it unlike anybody else.
I was thinking about poor John and Mike here on Out of Your Falcon Eye with that one. I think I could have made that one right there. Maybe that one I could maybe. That was a bad
It's the worst throw that you can't – if you can't make it and you sign up to play quarterback, that's – because I had a couple kids in flag football this year that said, yeah, I could play quarterback. I said, okay, the one thing that you cannot do if you're throwing an out route, you cannot leave it to the inside because it will be picked, and most likely it'll be a pick 6 because you're kind of chubby and you're not going to chase down the kid that intercepts the football. So let's not do that. Just throw it out of bounds if you can't make the throw. I have – these pulled up here. So Baker Mayfield this year has thrown for nearly 3,000 yards. He's got 18 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Are you telling me that New York shouldn't have thought to bring him over before the trade deadline when you're looking at Zach Wilson / Tim Boyle, who barely eclipsed over 2,000 yards? That's where I find the value in Baker Mayfield. Some teams should make him their corner piece, and you can put really good pieces around him. Imagine him in Detroit right now. Because what has Detroit had the last 2 weeks? I just feel like there's more to Baker than what people are giving him credit for. And I've been a Baker fan for a long time. I was still a Baker fan when he was grabbing his crotch facing Kansas. in college. I was the one guy on the hill on the college radio station. No, they should have shook his hand. That's disrespectful. No.
You're a Baker guy all the way. I bet, yeah. Was the Oklahoma the flag one? Is that what it was?
That was also Oklahoma,
Flag,
Ohio State, the flag one.
Okay, at Ohio State. Yeah, that's the one I remember there with it. So they go out, they pull it out there. That division, as we continue to talk about, it feels like a mess week in and week out. And I feel like that's going to come down. That's going to be like that Sunday night game where both teams are 7-8, right? Played for the division. And it's only odd because it's still they still got a relevant game with it. So I feel like, what was it? The Seahawks and Rams like 8-10 years ago. Both teams 7-9 played for the division. All right, let's get to it, boys. Your guys, I said it, Bengals show some fight. The Browns, your boy Jake Browning, he shines again here. The Bengals, 14-0. It was on locally here, somewhere in Northern California. I got it on CBS here. I got that was on. We check it out. 14-0 lead. You guys are looking good. Then immediately 14 all again, and then the Bengals show a little fight. Like I said, you guys bounce back 2 straight after the Monday night game. I had you guys Sunday. You were not feeling good. Both of you were not feeling good about that Monday night game either. So they pull it out. Jimmy, Pilato, the Bengals. A little surprising, correct?
A little surprising. Little surprising. Yeah. Because the last time this happened, it's not unprecedented for the Bengals to beat a team that everybody thought they were going to lose to on Monday Night Football with a backup quarterback. Because it happened a few years ago when Burrow tore his ACL. They did that to the Steelers. If you remember the double renegade game where they finally got Juju. I think Von Bell finally got Juju Smith-Schuster off of TikTok during that game. The last 2 weeks are a little bit surreal, and it's hard for me because here's the thing. I will say about today, it wasn't as perfect as the Monday night game was, and they still got a big win. The defensive line was getting after it, and when they needed a play at the end of the game because the Colts were going for it on 4th and 15, you have 2 stud defensive ends that can get after the quarterback in those big situations. 91 is a premier pass rusher in this league. You know him. He's got one of the most iconic sack celebrations now in the league because he gets to do it all the goddamn time, which is awesome. But Trey Hendrickson steps up in those big situations. He's the next jersey that I'm getting by far and away because he brings an attitude to that defense. Logan Wilson today had a couple big plays. Jermaine Pratt blew up Quentin Nelson, which as an offensive lineman, it hurt me because I was like, I've been in that situation where the linebacker just totally ran over my face and I couldn't even get my hands up to try and block him. Jermaine Pratt had like 2 or 3 plays like that. The guys are stepping up and they're professionals. It doesn't take one person to run this team. So now I'm kind of having to go back on my commentary on the college football playoff game last week, where a quarterback going down shouldn't take you out of contention to continue to win games. Is Jake Browning going to continue to do this? I don't know, but I get a couple more weeks of exciting football.
That's the thing. You guys get to watch some kind of at least you got some games on the line here. You moved to 7-6. More importantly, you beat the team ahead of you as well. They're 7-6. You hold the tiebreaker over them now. The thing about you guys still, Jordan, is you guys have the weapons. Like it's not like Browning's out there with like the Panthers' weapons.
Yeah,
you guys actually have like legit guys he can throw to in the NFL. And his what was it? Brown on that first touchdown, that screenplay, that little
he's the fastest dude on the field. Holy shit!
Teddy got away with one there, and I think Jimmy retweeted it.
I've been that offensive lineman that has gotten away with it.
You admit there was holding on that play.
My heart, he shoved the guy in the back. My heart sank when I saw it.
But nobody else saw it. They were all looking at Chase Brown like, God damn, he is fast.
And that little L1 juke move at the end.
You forgot to give a shout out to BJ Hill with his second career interception today. He definitely that you want to talk about the most underrated trades in our franchise history. We gave up. All we traded was Billy Price, who was no longer even serviceable.
Billy.
For us to the Giants.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. Like a Joe Sakic level trade.
But we definitely got to give a shout out to the offensive line. 0 sacks today when I'm sorry, I'm having a mental block. But
hey, hold on one second. Hold your help there. Jimmy, when you get that, I wanted to ask you, when you get the Hendrickson's jersey, do you have to get the long sleeve shirt right underneath it whenever you wear it? That seems like that's part of the deal.
Probably required. And when I wear it, I'm gonna have the cross eye black on So it's going to be really weird when the Bengals play on Mondays and I'm wearing my 91 jersey at school. But he's the engine. He's the engine because when he has been limited or not there, that defense doesn't stand a chance. And right now the defense needs to be it's a tall task, but you need to be the no-fly zone. You need to be that next transcendent level defense. Tampa Bay from 2022 when they shut down Patrick Mahomes. You got to be on that level. So, like I said, is this sustainable? Who the hell knows? I did not know if it was sustainable when they had Burrow a couple years ago and they made that run all the way to the Super Bowl, and I doubted them every step of the way, and it's because of what I've been through as a fan. And Nico knows. I've told the story to a lot of different people. That Steelers wildcard game, I nearly had to take the week off of school. Nico knew I was writing checks with my mouth that the Bengals were about to cash. This close.
AJ McCarron thrown to AJ Green for the go route, and it all went downhill from there.
Nico, Colts, Browning, and the Bengals. Which team are you trusting more here to get to the playoffs?
Well, sorry, the Colts, the Browns, and the Bengals. You said not
the Browns, the Bengals, and the Colts. Between those teams,
it's absolutely the Bengals. I think the Colts are one of the most fraudulent teams in the league.
It's crazy. They're 7-6.
Their last 4 wins, they beat. They were on a four game winning streak before today's game, and the last 4 teams they beat are very untalented. They're 4 of the most untalented teams in football. The Panthers are obviously worst team in the league. Patriots scored 3 points a week ago. I don't care what they did Thursday. They scored 3 points a week ago. The Titans with Will Levis look like an absolute shell of themselves. They can't stop anybody on defense. And the Buccaneers, who we just talked about, look, we talk about Baker all the time. They're a 6-7 football team. They beat nobody in those 4 games. It's the Bengals 100%. And like Jimmy and Jordan have been saying, the Bengals are still talented around Browning. Do I think Browning can win a football game for them? No. Do I think their defense and the talent around him can? That's a possibility. I don't think Browning will go out there and outperform another quarterback, especially in the level the AFC quarterbacks are. But I think
he almost did though against Lawrence last week.
He did. He totally did.
That's absolutely true.
That's an aberration.
Yeah, I just don't think that. And I think that's a big kudos to the guys around him. And like I said, guys like T. Higgins who will be out the door next offseason. Jamar Chase still having a great season with Browning too. Like I said, he has the talent around him, and defense is good enough for them to win a playoff game. But I don't think it'll be Josh Browning to win the football game for them. It's going to be somebody else to get to that point. And like I said, I believe that they have a much better chance than the Colts, because the Colts actually have to beat some good teams to get there. The Steelers next week is going to be tough. They play the Falcons, who will be playing for their playoff lives, and then they still play the Texans against too at the end of the season. So I absolutely believe in the Bengals. I just don't believe in the Colts at all. I think they were just fraudulent up until this game. This game showed it entirely.
Did you think the win against Baltimore was fraudulent a couple weeks ago?
For the Bengals?
No, for the Colts.
The Bengals have not beaten.
I'm looking at the Colts. They beat the Ravens in week 3 week 3 with Anthony Richardson. We're at week.
Finished the game.
We're at week 11. The Broncos are 0-3 and 1-5 at that point.
I will stand up for my co-host right now. We get 0 Colts games in our market because they normally play at the same time as the Broncos. So he doesn't know what Gardner Minshew's been doing for the Colts. Even though he's a betting man, and he should know what he's been doing for the Colts. That was a long time ago. The Broncos were a 1-5 football team at that point. Nico, this isn't that far off of a team. This isn't that far off of a team than beat the Ravens. Okay. And that was coming off the week where the Ravens kicked the shit out of the Bengals before.
I just think that the week 3 Colts are a lot different team than the week, 12 right now, 13? The Colts, 14, I think it's 14, whatever it is. I think it's a much, much different team. And I think that this week showed that more than anything.
I think the Bengals offensive line is what's going to carry them, because the Colts came in with the second most sacks in the league. And with the Bengals offensive line gave up 0. I kind of had a brain dump there for a minute, but yeah, hats off. I did not expect that today at all.
Yeah.
Colts, the Colts Bengals, they're in that mix with all those 7-6 teams here in the AFC.
My brother's still talking about the Jets at 5-8 right now.
Oh yeah. We might get to that for a second. I'm sorry there.
Hey, shout out the Jets though. That really helped both of our teams here.
That was a big win.
So that's helping us.
Another 7-6 team here. The Browns, real quick. We'll move on to another team, but just wanted to mention them. Flacco, I call it the replacement, Jimmy, just for you. Like so the is he coming in? Is he going to perform some magic? 3 touchdowns again today. He's 2-0. With them, he's almost thrown for 600 yards in the first 2 games. It feels like the Jags continue to be that team where it's like they're doing good, but it's like they're hitting a wall. It feels like now every couple of weeks. They obviously don't have the golf carts like we thought in Florida as well. Apparently, after that, the whole Lawrence thing walking off the field, that was kind of funny as well. Just an interesting game right here, real quick. I just wanted to bring the Browns up with it. They kind of stay in the mix. I'm more disappointed in the Jaguars from my standpoint with it. As we move on from that game, because I want to keep the show going here a little bit, I want to give Nico some time to talk about Let's Ride here and his Broncos. They throw through 2 touchdowns. They beat the Chargers. 1 game back of the Chiefs. 1 game back, Nico. Are you believing in this team? Is this a real thing? Is this the Colts?
It's total belief.
Look, all I have is belief, okay? I don't think that this team will do anything, okay?
Nico is Ted Lasso at the Denver Broncos moving forward.
I have belief written on my headboard, and I had it every Sunday morning and be like, you know what? I fucking believe. And that's all it is, okay? Do I think that this team can win a playoff game? Hell no. Did I think this team had a playoff chance? Hell no. I sat here in week 6 saying, if this team doesn't fucking lose every game from the here on out, I'm going to riot. And I said, we need a tank for Drake May, tank for Caleb Williams, hell, even that far. And you rattle off 6 of the last 7. Like that is, or 5 of the last 6, whatever it is. Like it is crazy. And like I said, it's the toughest part of your schedule. That you've gone through. You beat the Bills, you beat the Chiefs, you beat the Chargers, who were a preseason darling. You've beaten some good teams. You lost to the Texans. Texans are a damn good football team. Lost to the Texans last week. Like, this is the best stretch of football. And look, I don't know who has a better case for Coach of the Year right now than Sean Payton because of what he's done coaching circles on every single person he has played against. Because Brandon Staley is not going to have a job tomorrow morning because of him. Andy Reid got out-coached twice. Okay, this is the nail in the coffin because their playoff hopes are dead. He has out-coached every single team he has, and this is an untalented team, okay? Let's not be honest with ourselves. Let's be honest with ourselves. This team is not talented, okay? From top to bottom, there's maybe 2-3 dudes on this team that I'm like, you know what? Those could be dudes on a damn good football team. And it's probably Surtain, Sutton, and I would maybe say Miners and maybe Javonte Williams. Those are the 3 or 4 guys that I'm like, those are sustainable. Russ has been hot and cold. Judy can't fucking catch a ball or do a toe tap.
Oh, that was terrible at that one.
He's so bad.
This team is not talented at all.
I take P-Ron back if you think he's not talented.
I would take P-Ryan too. Please.
P-Ryan has done a good job, but he's not going to be a number 1 running back on a damn good football team.
He's never been the number 1 running back, which is awesome.
He's a great number 2, but he's not going to be a number 1 anytime soon. Both of you guys probably agree with that.
Number 1 beer in the league.
But I
just embarrassed after that 70-point performance. It seems like ever since that game, right? They've been a different team, though.
Dude, Darren, you don't know how hard it's been for Vance Joseph in Colorado since he was the head coach. You don't think that he looked at himself in the mirror after that 70-point win or that 70-point debacle that his defense put out there, and he's like, I played college football here. I have a lot of friends that still live here. I was the head coach here. If I'm a part of the worst loss in franchise history and do nothing to redeem myself, what am I as a man? Like, that was a gut check moment. And I like to give him credit because Nigo will give him credit too, because that's the defense has been what saved them the last few weeks. And you're doing it without a captain in Kareem Jackson. And the defense hasn't even, you're still finding gems in McMillan. McMillan is a guy that I think of like Cam Taylor-Britt last year. Like, where the hell did this guy come from? But he can cover pretty much anybody, and I feel pretty confident about it.
Undrafted guy that is just dangerous off the edge. Like he can go and hit the quarterback with with the freight train of an Ed Reed type player. And look, he's not Ed Reed, but the man can fly off the ball. And like I said, this defense, it's crazy to think that this team, they give up 70 defense. It's the same exact defense. Like let's not talk to ourselves. It's the same exact personnel across the board, except Vance Joseph realizing who he has and what dogs he has on defense. And be like, you know what, we gotta play to our strengths here. That's rushing the passer and making the quarterback make mistakes. That's literally all they've done because they've caused turnovers. They've made mistakes. They have the leading safety in all football in interceptions is Justin Simmons. Like they've made other quarterbacks look silly, plain simple. And after the Dolphins ran all over them, you had the Jets run all over you. And after the first Chiefs game where you lost, there was really belief this defense would be like, you know what, we held Mahomes to under 20 points, not once, but twice. And the second time you held them under 10 points. Not many teams can say that in the NFL. And that momentum just carried into the rest of the season and getting this 6 of the last 7 or 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 6 of the last 7 win streak. So
did I just see real quick? Did I just see a touchdown?
I was gonna say thick 6 in the Sunday Night Football game. Fletcher Cox had the strip sack on Dak Prescott, and now they just returned it for the touchdown. So now it's an 11-point game with 10:41 left in the third quarter.
I got it up here on the ticker here. I'll keep you updated there. People tuning in. I'll keep the score updated there. 24-13. As we had Nico, we're talking about the Cowboys. All right, let me put it to you guys. This is we're kind of entering the third quarter of the show here, middle of the third here with it. All right, we talked about the Browns for a second. Broncos, Browns. Who are we taking playoff wise there? Jimmy, Broncos, Browns. You get those two choices.
I would say the Broncos because I trust the same thing that I said picking the Broncos over the Chargers on our show this week. I trust Sean Payton to stick to what he knows is going to win him games more than I do Stefanski because he knows what his team is good at and what makes them win. And it's that running game, putting yourselves behind the offensive line that they've invested very heavily in. Sean Payton has no bones about making it the ugliest win possible. He will kick 18 field goals if it means that he wins the game because he knows he's going to play good defense on the other end. And if you score every possession, unlike whatever analytics Brandon Staley likes to look at, if you score every possession, you actually put your team in a better chance to be able to win on the last possession of the game. And that's what they've done a few times this season. And then today it was actually like, okay, they've actually stomped on the Chargers' throat. They were waiting for it. When you have Easton Stick come in at quarterback, the Chargers were waiting for it, but come on, man. No, I think the Broncos right now over the Browns have the better chance to make the playoffs, and I trust them more because Sean Payton, Russell Wilson have no issue making it the most boring team that you've seen make the playoffs in the last 50 years. They have zero, like it doesn't even faze them. You could ask them directly to their face to be like, I don't care. It works.
You can ask our fan base. I don't think we don't care either. I don't care.
It's like being a fan of Iowa. You're like, we're going to score 10 points, but we're going to play damn good defense.
Exactly. I don't care. It'll probably end disaster, but you know what? We'll win football games, and we'll be in a position to have meaningful football games to root for in end of December, beginning of January. That's all I've asked for 8 years.
By
the way, Cortland Sutton today becomes the first player since 2014 in a Broncos uniform to have double-digit touchdowns in a season.
Which was held by 2 players that season, Julius Thomas and Demaryius Thomas. That's how good that offense was.
Come a long way with it. Jordan, real quick to you, Browns or Broncos? Who you do believe in it more? I'm
going to go the other way with this, and not to pick on the other two here. I say the Browns. The Browns defense. They're getting healthy in the secondary. The pass rush is still there. Joe Flacco's figuring it out. He's going to have 3 games under his belt. They still have the weapons. David Njoku is pulling his head out of his ass, playing some football. Last week he had a couple key drops. This week he more than made up for it. I believe in the Browns. I mean, look what they're doing with it. They're on their 3rd string right tackle. They had the rookie from Ohio State miss this week. They had their starter go out week 3. It just seems like guy after guy after guy steps up. So, give me Cleveland.
They got that defense. And they got that defense that, like we said, real quick, I got to go back. Sorry, it's on my mind, that Eagles-Cowboys game. Prescott, we're just talking you up, and then you fumble. Like and then the defensive tackle scores. Carter, Jimmy,
Yeah.
we tried at the beginning of the show to give him a little love. We tried. We'll see if
it's what Dak Prescott does. And by the way, that was Tyron Smith that gave up the pressure that caused the sack fumble. So your best offensive lineman is what caused your biggest mistake so far tonight.
That's not a good thing there with him. You got that happening with him. So Cowboys, we're at the third quarter, 10-minute mark there. We'll keep you updated, like we said on the show here, as we're moving through it. So we're talking Broncos and Browns there. Which quarterback or which team we trust a little bit more there? You guys both had the Broncos, Jordan, Browns. That's fair enough. With it, all right. News and notes part of the show as we kind of enter the third quarter here. Lions thumped by the. I mean, you talk about one where I'm starting to now. The Lions are kind of starting to fade a little bit on them now. I'm starting to really – the Goff thing is really now has me concerned. Was it your boy Mark Schlereth was doing the game today, Jimmy? So that one I had a lot on today too. And he was – he the one thing I found interesting what he was saying was the positive about the Lions is they rely on the – Goff is really good at the play action. Yeah, but I feel like that goes hand in hand, right? Like if that's what you're really good at, you better have these other areas beyond your game for you to be dialed in. And the Lions are, I don't know, they're just showing some bumps along the way a little bit. Their defense is kind of wearing down a little bit. Fields did play well. I thought manipulating the pocket a little bit, but I don't know. Lions can continue to concern me.
As much as I would love to talk about the Lions because that's a team that I like the way they play. I like the way that they're built. It was unfortunately not unforeseen by a lot of people because the way that Jared Goff has looked and the way that they've fallen behind. I mean, they should have lost to the Bears the last time they played him on their schedule. It's not like they have him in close. And maybe it was you're reading a little bit too much into your press clippings. They asked Dan Campbell today, what can you do to make sure that this doesn't happen? He said, I could tolerate a little bit less. I can be a little bit more crotchety. You guys know that. So We'll see how that goes this week. So now we're at the point where Dan Campbell is going to stop loving on his guys, and he's going to turn it into he's going to turn it from Ted Lasso to Led Tasso and start flipping tables and kicking balls at guys' heads. Maybe we'll see a different Detroit Lions team. This is a team that has everything that they need because I don't sit here and tell me that Jared Goff is the thing that's holding this team back. They can do whatever they want to do. They just have to execute, and they have to understand that they're not the most talented team that they're playing, not the most talented team on the field. Because Justin Fields and the Bears have a lot of talent, as bad as they have been, and as bad as they have been coached. I think that it's more to say about the Bears kind of – I don't know what they're trying to do, but they're showing something or showing the same thing that they always do. I thought Eberflus should have been fired a few weeks ago, but what do I know? I'm not an NFL GM. It's weird. The Lions should be in a better place. I'm interested to see what happens now that we get angry Dan Campbell instead of happy-go-lucky Dan Campbell with his 14 shots of espresso.
We'll see if he continues to be aggressive, Dan Campbell, and continue to go forward on every fourth down as well. They couldn't uphold it a little bit here. Jordan, the Lions, again, they just continue to be a little worrisome.
I think you just see Jared Goff. I kind of say it week after week. He hits a ceiling, and they kind of come back down, and without the dominant run game behind him, if Montgomery doesn't go off, if that backfield doesn't go off, he struggles. He's not a quarterback that's going to go out and solely win you games. He's a piece that can be brought in and, elevate a team up to the talent around him. So it's just where you're seeing that ceiling. When the competition gets hotter and hotter here later in the season, especially in the playoffs, you're going to see these struggles continue to rear their ugly head. I think Dan Campbell's going to make some adjustments because he's a great coach. I know I kind of hope he goes Arlie Ernie on him and, kicks some boxes and makes people run around and, maybe throws a jelly donut out. I don't know. We'll see. But I think it's the same kind of song and dance for the Lions offense. It kind of centers around the pieces around him and the running game. And if they can't get that going, they're not going to go very far in the playoffs.
Now, and they're 9-4, so I don't want to make it seem like they're 9, they're down there. But
right.
I think we're trying to compare them to the Eagles, Niners, Cowboys here.
They had the chance to overtake all of them today. Yeah. They win.
Yeah, you're right. They had it. They were right there with that. And they had a couple bad losses too. That was another thing. They lost to a couple teams they shouldn't have. They actually play your Broncos next week, Nico. Lions, Broncos. That will be how you feeling about that game?
Well, obviously, I feel very nervous because it's a very, very talented team. But I think the biggest problem the Lions have right now is there's not much veteran leadership on the team. The player with the most playoff experience on the team is the guy that Jordan and Jimmy just shit on for about 5 minutes there. It's Jared Goff, who's been to a Super Bowl. You look across the board; it's a very young, raw team. Right, Jamison Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, good running back. A lot of years of football. Bears weren't very good, not making the playoffs. You look across the board, there's not much talent that has seen the postseason, that has seen late, good, big wins in December and early January. And that's the biggest problem they have here is like they're just running into games where they're like, we should be beating these bad teams, right? If we're going to be this good, you cannot have these lapses of judgment against these bad teams. And that's where the non-veteran leadership comes in. Is like veterans can step up being like, hey, we need to do this, that, and the other thing, because if you get ahead of our asses, we're talented, because they're much more talented than the Chicago Bears. It's night and day. But they've had the Bears come and punk them nearly twice. They had I forgot who it was a couple of weeks ago, but they got punked by the Packers on Thanksgiving. Like they got punked by some teams.
One.
They got punked by some teams that they shouldn't have because they're that talented in football team. And like I said, I expect them in the offseason to get some more leadership and veteran leadership to the offensive line and maybe defensively as well, because they just don't have that playoff experience across the board outside of Goff. And that's what they're lacking. And like I said, when he said Dan Campbell he's a hell of a coach, hell of a motivator, but the X's and O's, it's going to come down to that when you face good teams, especially the NFC. That look, the top four has been moving around every single week. Like who has number 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed, 4 seed has been moving around nearly every week. So we'll see how that ends up for them. But like I said, I just don't see any playoff and veteran leadership across the board, and that's what the Lions are missing.
It'll be interesting with them come playoff time, like what the narrative would be if they lose and they don't lose their first round game or first playoff game, and like will they consider it a successful season? Though, because the Lions really have never had a season like this where they're 9-4 in a long time. You know what I mean? Where you feel like they're making steps. So I'll be curious how their fan base handles that as they kind of move along forward with it. Dan Campbell, like you said, we'll see how his temperament changes as they kind of go along with it. Real quick here, Zach Wilson. We had to talk about that real quick. Your brother's Jets. Stroud, he goes down. We were talking him up. Come on. Then they lose to the Jets. Their defense continues to play hard. Wilson, they just keep the saga every week. He's our guy. He's our guy now. Like he's motivated. He was frustrated. He wants to play. So he comes out. He actually, He played pretty well though. I mean, for I guess what you consider. He didn't look like the other Zach Wilson. He actually looked like he kind of knew what he was doing a little bit at moments. The Texans coming off an exciting win the last week. They can't hold up to it. They look like they just were a young team that said, oh, we're not going to play today on the road on the East Coast. This is just a game we're not going to show up for an early game. They laid really flat. I was actually pretty disappointed in the Texans in this game. I don't know. I just thought I was starting to kind of feel them a little bit, and then this loss makes me question it a little bit.
I'm trying to see how many points did the defense actually score, because the Jets have a good enough defense that you can win with just defensive scoring. I think that's what we saw when Nico and I were at the Jets game when they played here against the Broncos.
Wilson threw for 301 yards.
Yeah,
it's better than I ever would have thought he would have done. Garrett Wilson, 108 yards. So he look like a quarterback.
I think that, not saying anything because we have been saying a lot of good things about the Houston Texans, and I think that they're still a decent team. Hell, they're still higher than the Jets in the playoff race. They're still one of the teams at 7-6. So let's not. I don't know necessarily if we all need to jump off the raft that we're riding on quickly, but it ain't a luxury cruise liner that we're on right now with the Houston Texans. We forgot how badly Deshaun Watson did leave this team in disarray, and Bill O'Brien, because they are putting things together and it's working a lot faster. But these are still very young guys that you haven't had gel for more than 6 months in the year so far. You played great. You got to make sure that you don't let CJ Stroud hurt himself to the point beyond recognition during this season. I think that he's shown enough. You know that you need to build around him, but it's still like you have to pull yourself out of hell before you can actually fully get out.
I think that's well said there, because I think it is you have to put in perspective what we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year too. Did we even think they would have 7 wins at the beginning of the year? So I think that's a good point to look at. Nico, the Jets is Wilson again. Just did you hear Rodgers kind of loves this guy a little bit too? I don't know what it is about him. Rodgers always talks has his back and everything too.
Well, I mean that's what Aaron Rodgers brings to a football team is he believes in the guys around him. Look, Zach Wilson without pressure is one of the scariest quarterbacks in the NFL. It's crazy because let's not forget week 1. When Aaron Rodgers went down, everyone's like, see, the sky's falling, it's over. They won week 1. Yep. They beat the Bills week 1. Like on I think it was Monday night or Sunday Night Football, whenever it was. Like without pressure, the Jets have no pressure right now. They threw Trevor Siemian in there. Their playoff hopes are basically dead outside of a Hail Mary miracle. Zach Wilson said, fuck it. I'm just going to go out there and do whatever I can. And I don't know if it's Aaron Rodgers calling the plays or Nathaniel Hackett, but Nathaniel Hackett only has a job in this league because of one man. That's Aaron Rodgers. And that's not showing you why, because Zach Wilson has an arm. He had an arm at BYU, but it's not an accurate arm. And at this point, Zach Wilson's saying, I'm playing to keep my job as a backup next year. That's all I'm doing right now. I'm playing to hopefully be on this team next year, and if not next on the Jets, maybe somewhere else. And he said, screw it. I'm just going to do whatever I can to sling the ball as far as I can, get the ball to playmakers like Garrett Wilson, who's a damn good playmaker in the open field. And that's all he's done. Like I said, there's no pressure on him right now. They're not making the playoffs. They're not eliminated, but it's going to take, like I said, it's going to take a lot. And just say, why not? I think that's what Aaron Rodgers is telling him too right now. Is like, dude, like, I know people are saying stuff in the media. That's the New York media, plain simple. Like, get used to it. You're going to be either A, the most loved person in New York, or B, the most hated man in New York. That's because you're the starting quarterback for the New York Jets. Plain simple.
Romance going on. I don't know.
And you're gonna have to figure it out, because when I come back, we'll be just fine, and people will forget all about why they hate you, because they'll love me again. And that's all Aaron is telling you.
27. What I think the Cowboys just got a field goal there, so now it's 27-13. They're up 14 here with 6 left. Go ahead, Jordan.
Now I do want to touch on the Texans a little bit.
Go ahead.
With CJ Stroud being a rookie and losing his number one wide receiver and weapon that he told the organization to draft after he was drafted himself, he looked completely lost today without Tank. Tank was his big third down guy. Tank was his big downfield.
Nico Collins also went down early in that game too, so 2 receivers out for the whole game.
And to ask a rookie quarterback without his weapons, it kind of reminded me of early Andy Dalton losing AJ Green. It just kind of takes the fuse out of the offense, and I think he has to adjust to that, because the NFL is a learning game every week, and especially being a rookie. So I don't think we need to plant the flag of defeat over in the Texans, because they're going to have to revamp it. They're going to have to lean on the run probably a little bit more play action if they get that going. They got to get the tight ends more involved. Kind of what the Bengals are doing to Jake Browning. Just could they have to go revamp and change the offense up a little bit, because losing your number one guy and your number two guy, especially a week after you lose your number one guy, and the Jets defense. I mean that's the defense where if they had even the offense outside of Aaron Rodgers would easily make the playoffs as an 8 seed. It's just. I don't think we have to be that harsh on the Texans. It's definitely a learning curve. CJ Stroud's going to rebound. They're going to be fine. They just got to get healthy, and they got to add more pieces next year for these exact reasons where they got to be more of a next man up mentality. But let's not be too harsh on them.
And we'll see what they do next week with the concussion protocol with him going into next week. Late game check. Samuel scores 2 TDs again. He just continues to look awesome right now as a receiver. Purdy's on his game, just at a high level right now. Feels like he's starting to get that MVP mojo going a little bit here in the way the Niners are cooking. We'll see how they continue to do through it. I'm sorry, Nico, you roll your eyes there, but I feel like if they have the best, I don't know. I feel like he's going to get it over McCaffrey still.
No. Take McCaffrey off the field. No. That team all of a sudden is one of the most robotic teams in football. McCaffrey does everything. No. Brock Purdy runs 72 yards in the first play of scrimmage.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm knowing Daren.
I'm not arguing with you, Jimmy. I'm talking to Daren, mostly talking to Tyler if he's listening. Brock Purdy did not drive that team 72 yards in one
He's not, but the NFL is going to give the quarterback the MVP, right?
Not when it's Brock Purdy last pick in the draft. Nobody wants to get behind him. He's the weirdest, most awkward-looking guy of all time. It's all Christian McCaffrey. He's got the square jawline. He's got the fact that he's been the best player on the football field since he was 6 years old. 6. And he's playing against the NFL now.
Odds, though? Vegas doesn't. I mean, I trust Vegas a little bit with these things, right? They have Purdy right up there. No,
there's no.
I can't trust Vegas.
There's no fucking way.
And look. The argument against Christian McCaffrey being the best player on this team is that Deebo Samuel and George Kittle are still putting up numbers. McCaffrey opens everything up. Everything.
So should he win the MVP?
Everything up.
Yes.
He is the MVP of this football team.
No, I'm saying the league.
Oh, I don't know. I don't. Arguably, I would say yes. I think I would say yes because they're one of the best football teams in the league. I think it maybe comes up to Dak because if the Cowboys are the number one seed in the NFC, it's conversation. I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying it's conversation. Yeah. I think maybe it hurts. Maybe again. Like Mahomes hasn't looked great. Do you give it to Lamar Jackson because the Ravens are winning football games? Yeah. Like it's very, very toss up. And look, it's a toss up, and I don't think Purdy deserves to be in the conversation. I think
he's gonna get the vote.
He's done a great job. He has done a great job with what he has. He has done a great job with what he has. But the offense, the whole team, runs on the back of number 23, and I will stand on that.
The MVQ, though, Jordan, I always say it. The MVQ. Let's see if the best team's quarterback gets the job done again. They pull out it's only been like, I don't think a receiver has ever even won the MVP award. I think there's something like that. I know a kicker's won it.
Maybe Jerry.
I know a kicker won it sometime randomly. In
Jerry was. I don't think Jerry Rice ever did win.
No, I don't think Jerry ever won it.
That's the only person I would have, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But the Niners continue to look good there, Jordan.
Made a case.
Yeah. Samuel's now on it. I mean, that's the thing with the league. Like I said, we talked about the Niners a lot last week. It's kind of why I put them at the end here. It is when they're on their game, like they always are. They by far look like the scariest team in the NFL, and it's going to be hard for anybody to stick with them on any level, especially after getting Chase Young at the other defensive line spot. 27-13 is still here as we're getting close to the fourth quarter. The part of the show, just a couple games here you might have forgot about because we might have too. Saints, they end up they beat the Panthers 28-6, and then one terrible weather out in Vegas, low scoring game. Vikings hold on.
And Vegas playing it.
I think it was snowing out there in Vegas today. I think that's why it was 3-0.
Don't they play in a dome?
Yeah, indoor dome.
The dome. Like it's cold there.
I know that your owner looks like Lloyd Christmas, but you don't have to be dumb when you talk about the Raiders, man.
Thank God that game wasn't in our damn area, Jimmy, because I would have rather thrown it up.
I got Sunday ticket. I could have put it on if I wanted to, but I didn't.
No one purposely put that game on. I'm sorry. No one purposely. You know what?
They were hoping for one of the other games to end quickly so they could get bonus coverage because they need like some viewership for the Raiders Vikings game.
I saw a stat. It was like teams that have scored 3 points record in a football game. 123-1. So they're the only team in NFL history that's won a football game 3-0, and I think that probably was Scoregami. I don't know if it was, but it's the only team that's ever done it. And the other non-loss was a tie. So it's Antonio Pierce is and Derek.
He's done.
He's not sticking around.
Yeah, he had a little mojo going a little bit, but like. Just the creativity on offense, you can tell he's not ready there to be maybe good. The defense, I've been okay with the defense, to be honest with you. Raiders defense.
So bring back Massachusetts.
What do you think about the reports that came out of Marvin Lewis sitting in on the offensive meetings this week?
Marvin Lewis. That would be. I mean, I saw Mark Davis at the in-season tournament last week. Mark Davis was enjoying.
I would end my football fan career if I were you, Darren. If that happens,
I don't want Marvin Lewis. I don't want Marvin.
I want to know what Darren thinks about
it. Hugh Jackson.
Jordan, I'm gonna cry. You're gonna legitimately make me cry if you continue to say that name.
Maybe you can go get Bill Belichick. I heard he's on the outside. Patriot.
That one makes me feel better. I won't cry over him.
That Patriot way worked pretty well down there in Oakland or Vegas now.
Oh, God. The Raiders are a complete mess. They continue to be 5-8 now. Vikings, I don't know. They're kind of a mess too right now. They get the win, but that's one where I don't know how you feel. As a coaching staff, you're like, yay, I guess. All right, so we got the win there. There's a defense, I guess you're fine. Standings check here as we kind of get through it here. As I'm looking at the AFCs, I'm going to get it up on the screen here just so everybody can get a a good look at the standings here. I'll go to the conference with it. Ravens hold that 1 seed. Dolphins obviously can tie them up tomorrow. Right now, Browns, Steelers, Colts are holding that 5, 6, 7 seed in the AFC. Move our way to the NFC. You have the big 4 there: Eagles, Niners, Cowboys, Lions covering that up. And then you got the Vikings, Packers, Bucks kind of holding down the next 3 seeds there record-wise. So lots to play out here. I mean, I feel like, I guess next week is that kind of that should be a little separation. Now that we have all these teams at 7 and 6, I feel like that might be the week where we start to see, all right, now we're starting to get that 1-game lead a little bit here. We should have a few teams start to drop out. So I'll be curious what the big news. We'll see what the Dolphins can do tomorrow. I don't think we're crossing any teams off the list though today, Jimmy. I think we're good today on teams. I think there's nobody there that's kind of quite. And the Seahawks, I feel like might be getting close.
We're on the list. Shoot.
We haven't decided if there's an ability to take the team off the list.
We put them on like week 6, I think, after the Dolphins.
I understand that. I completely understand that. So if it was after
the week that you said you were going to fade them for the rest of the season, they went on the list.
Look, if you did that week 6, I do not blame you at all. At all. Not one bit.
They were the second team put on the list. Of course, they were early.
Probably the first. I would not blame you at all.
Yeah, we had them on there very early on the list. I think the
Panthers and the Panthers and Patriots were officially eliminated. So if you want to big X to it,
can we put the Jets on there, because I just want to make sure. Shameless plug. We're having our Bowl Pick'em show on Tuesday. My brother's the defending champion, and I'm trying to get in his head. So let's put the Jets on the list, because he was trying to walk me through the mall today, the crowded ass mall that's been the most crowded during Christmas that I've seen since the pandemic. He's like, you know what? We won 30-6 today. If we win next week, the week after, and Zach Wilson is like, shut up, dude. Just accept your fate. Accept your fate that you have no shot at the playoffs this year, and move on to next year. That's what you got to be doing.
I want to raise my hand, because I think 2 teams on the list can still make the playoffs. Jimmy heard it from me on our show this past week. I think the Packers are making the playoffs.
They were on there early too.
I'm sure they were early, but they have a very, very easy schedule the next 5 games, including Monday night against the Tommy fucking DeVito New York Football Giants.
Okay?
The Packers can go on a little bit of a run here, and I think that they're a playoff team.
They would be in right now, and we would be shamed for putting them on the list.
I'm going to say,
Tommy DeVito's going to bury Jordan Love behind the fucking.
Come on, Tommy.
I would love nothing more than 2 of those teams make the playoffs, and I think everyone knows what one team is. And I think the Packers will be one of them.
I think the Seahawks might be coming up next on this list, though. I feel like they're getting close. They're getting.
Wait a second. Drew Lock threw a touchdown pass.
He did. At first, I was like, "Who's that guy?" But I was like, "Oh, that's their boy, Drew."
That guy
out there. Their boy Drew's out there. So I think that's
in the stadium, and all of a sudden he turned into Peyton Manning.
Is that Buzz Lightyear? Oh wait, that was the other failed backup.
Buzz Lightyear. So we got the list. It was funny, Nico, get your perspective on it, because you haven't seen the list. So it was good getting the outsiders thought of it. With it, we got the Packers, Broncos. There's the one that's making us a little nervous.
Every other team I'm fine with outside. Look,
wait
the Broncos, the Packers.
Every team on the list has won a game within the last month.
Oh boy, we're in trouble now.
Some of them have won too. Like the Cardinals beat the Steelers last week. The Bears just beat the Lions. The Panthers are the only one that I think we could definitively just keep on there.
Patriots.
Our guy Rev can't be feeling very good after the Cardinals lost to the Cardinals into the Patriots back-to-back at home. You talk about Rev. I was thinking about you, my man, Monday, watching that one. Probably throwing up watching that Thursday night game. 21-0 by Zach.
There was a football game Thursday night. Oh, I didn't watch.
People hit each other.
Jimmy, I was watching
AEW
Rampage. I was watching the in-season tournament. I didn't know there was football on Thursday.
I was watching professional wrestling at that point.
That's what they call those 2 teams.
CM Punk come back, baby.
Yeah, that's what they call American football.
All right, here we'll get to the Monday night part of it. Who you got? It sounds like anybody taking Thomas? Or is it all Packers here? Everybody going Packers? Or
when the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie.
Nico, Packers?
Yeah, I'm on the Packers. I think
cover? They win by 6?
What's the spread? 6? Oh, that's ugly. I don't know. I don't know. In New York, I don't know if Jordan.
The Giants have no defense.
I don't know about the cover, but I'm definitely taking the Packers.
All right, got it.
I had to
That
pick
has
away. I'll
moved,
say
'cause when we
Packers
were making
cover,
our picks,
but
it was 6.5.
6.5. All right, move to 6 a little bit here. 36.
Tommy DeVito effect.
Jordan,
It's
Packers, they pull it out. Giants show any life?
I think it's a close game. Give me the Packers by 3.
Jimmy, can we get a little Italian flavor here? Is it
No,
all?
it's
all love?
ugly. I think that if
all right.
if it's
We
really
tried.
ugly, then yeah, the Giants should be able to pull it off. But I want to see Jordan Love win, but Tommy DeVito outperform him. I don't know what it. You know what it is. I have 2 Italian flags in my classroom. Everybody knows what it. Everybody knows what this is. I watched all 10 seasons of The Sopranos, rewatched them again before I went to see The Many Saints in Newark.
I still gotta watch that series, but I always see the YouTube clips. I feel like I've seen the show, but
I'm also Italian. I've never seen that show.
Are you in the mafia? No, I'm in sanitation. I'm in waste management. It's a stereotype and it's offensive.
Jimmy, you might have a little acting career there. We might want to stay.
No, that's just Jimmy's family.
I was dreaming in Tony Soprano's voice. I was watching so many episodes.
That's just
it's not an accident. That's
Nico's seen the video. I have a cousin whose house still looks like it's 1940, all the way down to the green carpet and the covers on the sofas. And when I was standing in there going to the bathroom, it was Frank Sinatra, the bigger the figure, the more the figure, the bigger the figure, the bigger the figure, the more the figure, the better. I
wish I could give Jimmy props on his acting skills, but that's literally his whole family.
That's his real life.
Literally his whole family. That's literally
his real life.
I'm not acting. I'm acting when I'm not talking in the accent. I'm actually a decent actor the other way.
So we got all that Packers there. Well, I'm hoping for the Giants because I want the Packers. I want that to stand up. I don't want our list to get ruined. I want to make sure we don't blow any of that. So I'm sorry, Broncos too. Got to stay to that. Titans, Dolphins, another barn burner tomorrow night. Doubleheader. These weird doubleheader Monday night games that are a week 14 matchup. And we get 2 weird games, both starting at 5:30 out my time, 5:20. I mean, just kind of, I don't know. I don't get the whole thing anyways. If you did want to watch the game separate, they're ruining one game for you, showing the highlights. I'm assuming we all have the Dolphins winning this as well in cruise control. A 13.5 spread as well. That's another big part of it.
13's too big of a number to touch in the NFL.
Does Hill get 2 touchdowns? I guess that's the only question. He'll get 2 touchdowns and 100 yards.
Oh, easily. Give me a reverse touchdown and a passing touchdown.
But I do think that the Titans will be able to score because no Jalen Phillips. It has affected that pass rush and the ability for the Miami defense to get after the quarterback.
What's up with this doubleheader thing? This doubleheader thing is weird to me. I just don't get it. I guess it's just something to try something.
The NFL has no more college football to compete against.
Yeah, I go. But why put it on at the same time? Why not put one on earlier then or something? I don't know. I just don't get the whole idea of that. But whatever.
You know what? This is maybe a move by Goodell. He's like, oh, you think that you deserve more of the revenue sharing? We're going to put you head to head against this market. We're going to see who draws more viewers, and that's who's going to get
Miami or New York.
I think we got what? We got 2 games on Saturday.
Yeah, next Saturday we have those as
well. Nico and my team. Nico and our team.
There's 3.
Yep, 3 teams in that one. What do you guys what do you got for game ball this week? Who's your game ball for week 14? Who showed up for you? Nico, what do you got for game ball for you?
I'd be honest with you. I didn't watch a ton of the other football games.
Give me a Broncos guy. I don't care.
It's Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton is a top 15 receiver in football, arguably top 10 receiver right now in football. 10 touchdowns this year. He has been the guy. Like the number one guy. And I tweeted out on our account, there's shades of DT everywhere in his game. The way he gets off the ball, the way he gets out of his breaks, the way he wins one-on-one balls against everybody he faces. One-on-one ball in the end zone, you find 14. Doesn't matter how bad of a ball Russell Wilson throws, number 14 will go up and get it. And the interception, the touchdown he had, the one-handed grab over, I think it might have been over Derwin. I forgot, or maybe it was over Asante Samuel. I forgot who it was for the Chargers. That was just incredible. He's been the rock for this football team. Him, Justin Simmons, Patrick Surtain, and I see a lot of I grew up on Peyton and DT, and seeing Cortland Sutton be the DT of this era for this team has been fantastic. And he's one of the most underrated receivers in football, in my opinion. And this year he's shown that doesn't matter who's throwing to him, he can still be the number one guy on a good team.
Good game ball there. Week 14. Jordan, who you got for game ball?
I'm going to have to give two of them out. One's going to David Njoku, big-time rebound performance. And a second one, a lot lesser known name, DJ Ivy, stepping in at cornerback for the Cincinnati Bengals, making an absolute great pass breakup in the third quarter when all momentum was going the other way, and coming up with a big special teams fumble rebound. So that set us up in position to score. It turned the whole game around. He's a guy that I actually wanted cut in the preseason. He didn't look great. It didn't look a great signing. And just absolute made the most out of his time today. So there's my big game balls.
I like it. Who you got, Jimmy?
There's so much Harvard pain in Bengals fans. It's hilarious because I have the same feeling about the guy I'm about to give my game ball to. It's Trey Hendrickson. It's 91. 2 tackles today, 2 sacks in huge moments. Ended the quote comeback attempt. They were still down by too much. It wasn't really going to be a comeback, but absolutely, he just steps up when he needs to and leads that defense. And I think that he's the whole attitude of the defense because you never really see him doing much outside of putting in work. And he does do a lot in the community, which makes me happy, even though I don't live in the Cincinnati community, but I still like to follow guys that are good people outside of the sport. And I think he's one of those. He's really good on the field. Last week was a great exhibition on Monday night when he knelt down and prayed right away for Trevor Lawrence when he got injured, and just he's the all-around total package. 91 gets the game ball today, and he's earned it a few times, but I guess I'll give it to him today because I'm being biased. I'm a fan.
And you're buying his jersey.
I'm buying his jersey too. I'll be able to pay for maybe an extra weekend of the vacation that he gets to take in the offseason that he's going to deserve.
Well, we know what your mom's going to get you now for it. What Santa Claus is going to get you out, Chris?
I'm getting cruise. I'm not getting any presents. What are you talking about?
Oh, got to get that. All right. So you got that. I
got to buy myself.
That's not going to give. I got Tyler Wallace here. I got to get the play up on the screen. It was a great play. I'm going to end it there or get his game. The punt return. You don't see that too often to end the game. So he ends up winning the game for the Ravens on the screen.
From the 25. Daren Wallace breaks out of a tackle, takes it down the sideline.
Shitty tackling.
I do want to say, beginning of that play, if you go back to the very beginning, there was a very, very close block on the back call. Right there.
There's 2 possibilities right there.
There's some possibilities.
I might be a Raven hater, but that's just shitty tackling, and that's 2 missed calls. That ain't the Ravens.
The big one's right there. That's the big one where they take 2 guys out. That was the biggest one to me. But I saw it live, and when I watched it live, I was like, that could be it. And I saw nothing. But look, it doesn't take away from the play he made because that was a hell of a play he made.
To get out of that tackle. Move back.
I
don't know why
I'm fully aware that I'm a hater.
Everybody knows you're a hater on it. All right. Look ahead here. Last part here. Game 15, week 15 matchups here. Kind of an interesting schedule. Thursday night, we got a game between the Chargers and the Raiders. We'll see how that goes. But then Saturday, you got the Vikings at your Bengals, Steelers, Colts, Broncos, Lions. So not maybe how you would think, like, oh, great matches. But if you look at the records of all those teams, it kind of will make a difference. Like even that Steelers game, you're not like, oh, that's a great game. But both teams are 7-6 between them and the Colts. Your Bengals, your Vikings. Both the Vikings are still right there in the mix. You guys are right in there in the mix. And, of course, we get the night game here with the Broncos coming out of nowhere. And then the Lions kind of struggling a little bit in that sense, not finding their groove. So some interesting games on Saturday. And then we move on to the Sunday slate as well. Probably the most interesting game for me on that is Dallas at Buffalo on the Sunday games there. And then the other one that maybe I guess would be a little bit intriguing is that Tampa Bay at Green Bay, and then Sunday night Baltimore at Jacksonville. The Monday night game is Philadelphia at Seattle. So that's our slate for next week, Jimmy.
Yeah, Nico and I are actually really familiar with these games because we've already made our picks for Week 15. I'm not going to release them here, but we're making some scheduling changes because we do have the live show Tuesday for our College Bowl Pick'em show. But yeah, we've already looked at these games. They've already been picked, and there's going to be a lot of movement.
Which game stands out to you kind of like it's kind of an intriguing one there?
Well, it's funny now that we did pick opposite of it. That Thursday night matchup with the Chargers and the Raiders, how they both looked this weekend. I'm like, oh, that's even more of a toilet bowl than I actually
It's
anticipated.
going to be Easton Stick versus Aiden O'Connell. Bite me. I'm doing something else.
No, I know that we're not watching it. I didn't say that we were watching it. I'm just thinking that it's hilarious that we both.
These Thursday night games are turning into what should I watch tonight other than football? it's the good old hey girlfriend. I'm sorry.
What do you want to do on Thursdays? Thursdays will be your day.
Because I care about you. I'm gonna skip out on football just for you. And it's games like these that you can skip out. You'll do just fine.
That's funny. The like I said, Lions Broncos. We kind of briefly talked about that. That'll be a good game there this week. We'll see that Baltimore Jacksonville Sunday night game. Kind of an interesting one in some ways when we're doing this game when we're doing it next week. Just from the Jaguars, we didn't get much into them, but we've talked about them a lot. Are they going to hit this wall? So we'll see what the Ravens do next week. That'll be kind of an interesting game as we're on the air. You guys, like you mentioned, Jimmy, you guys are doing the Pick'em show. It sounds like you've already recorded that. I look forward to checking that out.
Oh, it's live Tuesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on our
Tuesday,
YouTube channel.
7. All right, I'll be there for it. I'll be checking it out. You guys will roll through that. You guys always make that show fun. I'm assuming the champ is going to be there as well.
We're returning the champion and Jeremy, right. both guys that have been on the other 3. And then we're also going to have an extra bonus episode. So that's why we made our week 15 picks. We did it a couple weeks ago where we re-released the episode after the Avalanche won the Stanley Cup. This upcoming Thursday, you're going to hear our week 15 picks, our preview a week ahead of time. And then you're also going to hear the replay of when the Nuggets won the NBA championships. You're going to get to hear Nico's celebration if you're a new listener from VSN, or if you're a new listener over to our show, or if you just want to relive the glory days and see where our takes were at that point. That's what I did with the last one, because the last one was 2 years ago. So I wasn't a teacher at the time. We had just signed Russell Wilson, and I was like, oh, yeah, Denver just gets all the best athletes. John Elway, Joe Sakic, Russell Wilson. Was comfortable putting those 3 on the same exact level, and now I'm kind of looking back at it like, oh, shit. Follow at FEOTB Pod. That's the content that we have coming out for you. The Pick'em show is one of the best that we do all year. You guys are going to enjoy that one. We'll talk betting. Jeremy is an Ohio State fan, so we're probably going to have to talk the selection process again for the third time in the last 3 weeks, but
that'll be fun. And then we'll probably get into a few as we kind of make our way through this on Saturday night. We'll kind of add in a few games here. If we'll react to a few big college games here on Talking the Gridiron. Nico, it's fun having you on the show this week, man. Thanks for joining us.
I appreciate it. Like I said, all the Chiefs stuff I saw on Twitter going about, and then I saw the Broncos, getting a little bit of hatred for beating basically having a 4th home game and going into the Los Angeles / the Denver Chargers, the Chargers Arena, SoFi Stadium, mini Mile High Stadium, as we like to call it here. It's fun to talk football again. That's all I'm gonna say. It was very, very shitty for a long time, and like I said, when you have both Jimmy and I's teams both good right now, it's fun. It's very, very fun because, like I said, we're arguing over getting the last playoff spot. When I'm telling you, be like, hey, we don't have anything. You can't steal it from us because we're hoping for we're throwing Hail Marys just as much as you are. So it's fun to have 2 good football teams, especially when you also have one of the best hockey teams in the league and obviously the best basketball team with the best basketball player in the world.
They weren't good enough to win the NCAA tournament, though, Nico. So LeBron last night. I'm gonna have to get you on with Doug on our double podcast.
Hey, let me know. I could go off on the in-season tournament all that.
We will be talking next week. I'll be sure to check in with you that. Where are the goggles for the in-season tournament? I was like, but you got a game in like 2 days from now. All right, so that was that. Far into the bench. Make sure you check those guys out. They put out good content. This is their prime time kind of with the selection shows and all that as well. So be sure to check that out. Jordan, you're continuing to talk on the Gridiron with us here. Appreciate you taking the time to join us again here this evening, man. And I know you guys have been to the tailgate there. Took a little break on that with Doug going there. So I got Fat Boy Fadeaway. We're going to be doing that tomorrow night. With Tyler, we'll be talking Warriors and Raiders a little bit tomorrow. So I'll go to that a little bit. I got some struggles to talk about.
My, how to turn tables.
Yeah, they have turned
we got a Christmas Day game coming up.
We do have one there coming up on Christmas Day.
A little bit.
Boy. It's gonna be unfortunate that I'm gonna be out of the country. We won't be able to do a preview show. But Daren, when I get back stateside, we got to do a post. We got to do a mid-season. We got to get you back on our show. Is what,
for
what
sure.
I'm trying to say.
Yeah, we got to make that happen for sure. Do a little January check-in like we did last year with it. So, talking the gridiron, week 14, we're moving along. Jimmy Pilato, Jordan, we're moving along here. We're out week 15 here next week, and we'll get to and we'll take a little break, probably week 16, but we'll move our way through it there and hit the playoffs. So, for our guy Nico from far end of the bench, for Jordan Maxson, for Jimmy Pilato from far end of the bench, I'm Daren Breyer. We'll see you next week on Talking the Gridiron. Peace.